Gustave Le Bon's The Crowd, A Study of the Popular Mind, 1895, is one of the foundational texts in the field of crowd psychology and mass behavior. Le Bon was a French social psychologist whose work attempted to explain how individuals behave differently when part of a crowd. His central thesis is that crowds are not simply aggregations of individuals. Rather, they are entities with their own psychology, motivations, and patterns of behavior. His theories have influenced political leaders, philosophers, and sociologists over the following century. The psychology of crowds. According to Le Bon, the key transformation when individuals become part of a crowd is the loss of their personal consciousness and the emergence of a collective mind. This collective mind operates on a level quite distinct from rational thought. When part of a crowd, people act on emotion rather than reason. Individuality, moral responsibility, and critical thinking are submerged under the collective force of the group. Le Bon argues that crowds are impulsive, irrational, and easily influenced. They respond to imagery, slogans, and emotions far more readily than to logical arguments. Individuals in a crowd lose their sense of self-restraint and often commit acts they would never consider when alone. Crowds thus have a tendency toward extremism, either noble heroism or brutal savagery, depending on the stimulus. Key characteristics of crowd behavior. Le Bon identifies several key features of crowds. 1. Anonymity. In a crowd, individuals feel anonymous, less responsible for their actions. This fosters a sense of invincibility and impunity. 2. Suggestibility. Crowds are highly suggestible, easily manipulated by leaders, slogans, or dramatic events. They react quickly and emotionally, with little rational reflection. 3. Contagion. Emotions and actions spread rapidly within a crowd, much like a disease. This emotional contagion creates a powerful unifying effect, sweeping through the group in waves. The 4. Irrationality. Logic and reason are replaced by imagery, myths, and simple ideas. Crowds tend to think in absolutes, heroes and villains, complete solutions, total destruction, or salvation. The role of the crowd leader. Because crowds are so suggestible, leaders play a crucial role in shaping and directing their behavior. Effective leaders are not necessarily the most intelligent or morally upright. Rather, they are those best able to channel the crowd's emotions. Charisma, conviction, and simple, powerful messaging are key tools. Le Bon notes that crowd leaders must use affirmation, repetition, and contagion. Affirmation, stating an idea forcefully and repeatedly, convinces the crowd of its truth. Repetition. Constant repetition creates familiarity and acceptance. Contagion. Once an idea is accepted by part of the crowd, it spreads quickly. Crowd leaders often rely on mythical imagery, powerful symbolism, and simplified narratives to resonate with the emotional mind of the crowd. The nature of ideas in crowds. Le Bon explores how ideas are transformed within a crowd. Rather than embracing complex or nuanced thought, crowds favor simple, clear, emotionally charged ideas. As an idea circulates in the crowd, it is often distorted or exaggerated, becoming more extreme and emotional. For example, the ideals of liberty or justice can be transformed into violent demands for destruction or vengeance when filtered through the mind of a crowd. Moral and intellectual levels of crowds. Le Bon states that crowds are intellectually inferior to the individuals who compose them, but they can sometimes act on a higher moral plane. Crowds may commit both great atrocities and acts of noble self-sacrifice. However, in most cases, he warns that crowds are easily led toward violence, intolerance, and destruction. Crowds are conservative by nature. They resist innovation and often revere traditional symbols, institutions, and myths. Even revolutionary crowds, according to Le Bon, seek a restoration of an imagined golden age rather than a true embrace of novelty. The crowd in politics and society. Le Bon's analysis was particularly focused on the rise of mass democracy in the 19th century. He observed that political power was shifting from traditional elites to the masses. He warned that the emotional, irrational nature of crowds made them susceptible to demagogues and totalitarian leaders. He feared that the rise of the crowd would lead to instability, authoritarianism, and the erosion of reasoned governance. In his view, the popular mind was ill-equipped to make complex political decisions. Instead, politics would increasingly be driven by emotional appeals, propaganda, and manipulation. Types of crowds. Le Bon distinguishes between several types of crowds. 1. Homogeneous crowds, those composed of individuals with similar social backgrounds or ideologies, e.g., political parties, religious movements. 2. Heterogeneous crowds, those bringing together diverse individuals temporarily unified by an event or cause, e.g., a street protest, a riot. He also distinguishes between criminal crowds driven by destruction and violence, heroic crowds displaying courage and selflessness, such as during national emergencies. The methods to influence crowds. Le Bon highlights three key methods for influencing a crowd: rhetoric and oratory, short, passionate, and vivid language, using symbols and appeals to strong emotions; visual imagery and rituals, banners, flags, uniforms, marches, and ceremonies strengthen emotional unity and suggest grandeur; repetition of key ideas. Repeated exposure ingrains concepts into the crowd's collective mind. The goal of the leader is not to engage the reason of the crowd, but to dominate its imagination. Critiques and legacy. While Le Bon's work was enormously influential, it has also faced criticisms. Some scholars argue that he paints too negative and deterministic a picture of crowd behavior, ignoring instances where mass movements have been thoughtful, democratic, and progressive. Others point out that his theories reflect the anxieties of the educated elites in the face of the rising political power of the working classes. Nonetheless, the crowd had a profound impact. It was read by political figures such as Mussolini, Hitler, Lenin, and Roosevelt, who sought to understand and manipulate public opinion. It also laid the groundwork for later studies in social psychology, mass media, advertising, propaganda, and political science. Conclusion. Gustave Le Bon's The Crowd, A Study of the Popular Mind, remains a pivotal text for understanding how mass behavior differs from individual behavior. His analysis of the emotional, irrational, and suggestible nature of crowds explains not only the dynamics of revolutionary movements, but also the forces at play in modern mass politics, media influence, and public opinion. Even though some of his theories may seem dated or overly pessimistic today, Le Bon captured a fundamental truth. When individuals join crowds, they are capable of extraordinary transformations for both good and ill. In a world increasingly shaped by mass movements, social media, and public spectacles, Le Bon's insights remain urgently relevant.